All right, we are on record right now. Let me start presenting. Okay. Cool. So let's get started. Hello, all. A very good evening and welcome to the seventh edition of BizKnight. Hope you all had a very good learning experience in the previous editions of BizKnight. And today we promise you that today's BizKnight is also going to be a very interesting one. And there is a lot of takeaway. So without really having a lot of surprise, I would want to introduce our speaker for tonight, which is Ramana. But before going there, a quick check on our housekeeping items as we usually do. Request you all to leverage our chat functionality that you see below for any kind of questions, queries, or any kind of concerns or feedback. And as we are doing this on the webinar mode, request everyone to also leverage the Q&A segment that you see in the bottom. So if you have any kind of questions, you could always post your questions in the Q&A if you think you will forget. And having said that, in the end of the session, we also have a dedicated Q&A session where our panelists will take questions from you, and our person who's going to present today, who's Ramana, will actually give you answers for them. So we leave it to you. It's on you. If you want to post them right then and there, you could always put it in the Q&A. And if you feel you want to have it like preserved till the end, you can also do that. Also, a couple of other things. Request you all to, not to have a lot of parallel internet activities so that you could preserve some bandwidth now that we are all working from home. And yeah, that's it. That's it from my side. And just to give some brief introduction about today's topic, as you all know, it's about productizing omni-channel distribution and reverse logistics. So it's a one-of-a-kind topic, and trust me, it's a niche one, not like a regular product management kind of topics, because we are going to touch upon a lot of real-time examples and look at how things really work with respect to the retail distributions and all. And having said that, let me introduce you to our today's speaker. It's Ramana. Ramana started off his career as a management consultant with the management services organization. Then he's associated himself with the Big Four, which is PwC as well as KPMG. So he has a lot of consulting experience and all, and he's also has experience in the software industry for 8 years. After which he moved on and he started something of his own. Since last 6 years, he's an entrepreneur, and he runs 3 different companies. One of which is into buying and selling of old electronics, and the other one is into the selling of and the medicines as well as the regular electronics as well. So without further delay, I would like to call upon Ramana and hand it over to him. Ramana, over to you.
Hi, everybody. It's very nice to kind of be in this forum. Trust me, this is my first conversation on a video call with people who most of them I don't know. So very interesting, actually. Krishna Teja happens to be my cycling friend, and hence that's how I got to get connected with all of you. So I'll be talking about, I don't know what is the remit or what's it about BizKnight, but then what I'll be talking here is what I do and the challenges that I face and the future that I carry with my career, or for that matter, the career with the companies that I have we started. So I'll take a little bit of time in explaining the companies that I'm in. So about 15 years back, when I finished my MBA, and then I realized that getting into some of the companies that give intense value add, highly innovative, etc., was something in my mind. And having done consulting for close to 8 years, that too, consulting where 50% of my assignments are a failure. So which means intense strategy, etc. After doing that, so I've settled down, I believe, at businesses, or currently with a career which has got very, say, not as much value add, not as much innovation, not as much deep strategy and thinking, but something that requires a lot of sustainability. I opened this with sustainability, so hence I'll be carrying this till the end. How sustainability happens through in the business that I'm in. Okay, we don't do anything innovative, like I said. The first name you see there is Flash. So it's our new products distribution business. So what we do there is we buy stocks. We have reached to around 2,000-3,000 stores across India, retail stores. We have our warehouses spread across probably 15-20 odd locations. And then we ensure that the product is made available across each of these retail outlets. So very simple, nothing much. The second one is Ad Life. So where we provide some life-saving devices, life-saving, I wouldn't say drugs, but then something are really life-saving. And then also into diagnostics, reagents, and there's a medical stuff. So I wouldn't want to touch much on this. And the third one, something that's very interesting. For me, it's particularly interesting, but then it is like, what do you call, scrap dealer. So on the third one, we call it, our brand is Minty. Name of the company is Icon Technologies. So what we do there is we buy used and we sell used. So having given this, I'll just compare myself in terms of certain business parameters. I'll compare these three businesses. So the first one is turnover. Obviously, we do very significantly higher turnover in Flash, about 150 crores. The second one on medical business, a little much lesser actually. And on our rivers, we do close to around 100 crores of business. The second one on comparing businesses, value add. I believe this is my own partners and co-founders might have different opinion, but then I believe that we add least value in my first business. In the second business, we add a little more value. Probably we add much higher value to the organization. So obviously everybody knows value add and how much you are paid for is directly proportional, and hence we earn higher margins on higher value add product, which is the third one, and probably the least in the first business. So then again, next, when I see what is very competitive and what business is seemingly short term, what business is seemingly long term, the first one I feel somebody can come and then say that, okay, done with it. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to have some other partner. Well, it's not that easy, but then I'm just trying to exaggerate a little bit and then say somebody can kick us out in 3 years. So some brand comes, works with us and then says, okay, tata bye bye. We'll move this relation with somebody else. So my lifespan, or I'll have to rely less, or I'll have to be very careful when I'm doing this business. So obviously now when you see 150 crores of business in probably 12 months can turn to be probably 50 crores if I lose something. The second one, because it is medical, because I give equipment that's worth crores, and because somebody has to use my own products, my own reagents onto that medical equipment. Not too many competitors are there in the high-end medical space, so hence probably a little longer. But when it comes to the reverse logistics, where I add high value add, this is extremely fragmented. Not many people really put in objectivity into this business. In fact, about 4 years back, it never existed. When we started, we were like, okay, will this ever kind of take off? Or will we survive for longer? Or will we be known in the market as, say, scrap dealers? So I think because of what we have gained in the process, it's probably a little longer term. Then touching upon the valuation, say if somebody has to come and put money into my company, so you will see probably we'll be getting minimal valuation, that is your multiples. So I was kind of discussing some other day that if I were to tell what's my value, then I would probably say 5x or 2x of my the amount of money that I make EBITDA per year on the first business. The second business, probably my EBITDA multiple will be probably 10 times. And in the third one, probably my EBITDA multiple will be 20 times. So everything when you see valuation of any company, it is all about how difficult it is for somebody to enter, how long will it continue, what's going deep into the organization's work. That's how it works. And say another important one I wanted to also bring this up is how good it is to work in any of my three companies. Never discussed with any of the employees, but then I felt that in the first business, or probably in the second as well, it's very commoditized. There's nobody needs to think too much. If at all there's any thinking, it is like, okay, I do 1200 entries across say 1 week. Can I process this 1200 entries in 3 days? Can there be a little bit of automation? Can there be an Excel upload? So that's all that we do as far as specific innovations are concerned. Of course, you'll have a lot in terms of how to sell, how to ensure that the festive season market share is increased, etc. All those are different things. But then a very high intensity and then same monotonous work. In the second business, a little more intensity reduces a little bit. So hence, it's a little easy on you. So you don't need to work on probably 1 or 2 days. It doesn't matter. The third one is very specialized. Everything is decision making. And the intensity is also relatively medium term intensity. So on the third one, I would like to bring to your notice that none of the companies in the world has ever gotten really big and sustained for longer. So this means it's a very tricky business, and probably decision making is there at every stage. Now coming to again the last one, which is the extent of tech that we use. And the first and second one fairly low, and the third one, when we started, it was nothing, fairly low. But then we realized if we have to survive, there's a little more that we need to do. I wouldn't say that we have built some large tech platforms and all. But then some of the applications that we do are kind of keeping us ahead of the competition. So just setting the context again for my next 2 slides. I didn't want to load everybody with more slides, but then probably whatever I could, I have put in a couple of slides. So this is the business that I do. And whatever I talk, I will talk about the first one and the third one. The middle one is probably a little mediocre. So I'll compare these businesses. I'll give my examples of my experience of how my businesses are functioning, etc. So somebody should help me with the second slide. Okay. So looks like definitely a consulting slide. So I realized after I made it on a paper first, and then I wanted to replicate. So I'm just giving the complexity here of my first and third business. And this slide is like nothing. It's very simple. Everybody knows what happens. So what happens today for a mobile phone or for any of the fast moving consumer electronics in India? Brand owns a product. They sell it to somebody called ND, national distributor, who further sells it to a regional distributor. Further, it goes to a local distributor, and then it goes to a retailer. So when a product, this is traditional good old days, when a product comes to a retailer, it would have probably touched 3 priests. And then finally, consumer transacts with a retailer. So what happened over a period of time in the last 2 to 3 years? There was a lot of shift in the channel. This is what we call channel for the retail electronics. What happened particularly after GST coming in place was too many layers were removed, and obviously each person adds some values, and hence there's a margin that goes in. So about 20% margin if you look at it in the channel. 2-3 years back, the LD was dropped. None of the mobile phones today have the concept of LD. So a local distributor is gone, and the product moves from brand to national distributor to regional distributor. From regional distributor, it goes to a retailer and then consumer. So trust me, I can say with my experience, in 2016, we had 140 local distributors working under us for a particular brand. And they were earning their clean share of 4%. None of them exists. So there's a lot of shift that's happening. Small businesses are seriously under threat. So I would say with one of us, it's 140 businesses gone. Probably they would have gotten something else, but then nothing in the electronic space is really offering a pure regional, local distributor space. Now let's come to the next one. When I say GT, it is general trade, the small mom and pop shops. OT means organized trade. That's the Chromas, Reliance, Purvikas, Sangeetas and all that, who own multiple stores under the same brand. So what also happened is when this transition happened, the brands wanted to remove at least one more from the OT channel, and hence the RDs were killed. So today, none of the Chromas or Reliance Digitals or Sangeetas have a regional distributor. So 3 years back, all of them had a regional distributor. So again, there were more distributors that went off the business. Just imagine if at all there are 20 brands. 2 years back, there were 20 brands. And imagine there are 20 retailers. So those many combinations of regional distributors were there. And all of them were kind of out of business because the brands or the national distributors are directly transacting with the retailers. But there's another peculiar situation here. We do as flash distribution, we are the owners for distribution channel in Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, 3 different states. Similarly, we import and distribute across India Anchor Innovations products, 3 of their products. One is Anchor, that's into power and charging. Second one, Soundcore, that's into only sound products, everything got to do with neck bands, earphones, etc. And there's another interesting product all of you might be excited with is Nebula brand, which is a pocket-sized projector. So that can go for 3 hours, and then with it's a good home theater kind of a thing. So what we do is we import from directly from whichever the factory is, and then we directly sell it to the retailers, at least in majority of it. So what's happening is there's only one channel before it reaches a retailer. So this is something interesting. From here, what we can derive is in the next few years, we see brand or ND directly operating to a retailer and then directly to consumer. So there are certain situations where brands are directly operating to a consumer, but those are very, very different channels altogether. So I am kind of taking you through a situation where businesses are out of their say income level. So in a sense, they're losing incomes, they're losing businesses. What happens? Why is this channel at all existing? So on the right, I've given a value add through channel. So what happens? Suppose when we were probably selling Gioni as a brand. So we were billing to a regional distributor, and then the regional distributor was billing to a retailer. So when I bill to a regional distributor, he subsumes the risk. He pays me money. I need to worry only about one guy, and he takes care of billing to say 30 odd retailers, 50, 100 retailers. So the credit risk is passed through the channel, and money is unearthed again through the channel. So the brand gets their money. The working capital is never locked. That's one of the first primary value add by having the channel. The second one is fast moving products. As mobile phones are considered fast moving. So fast moving products, if they are locally stored and locally delivered, there won't be any customer service issues or service level issues. When I say service level issues, it is availability, making it available. And finally, everybody says nobody can beat the local relationships. So we have certain employees, our distribution partners, because of whom a retailer sells, because of whom a retailer stocks that product. So these are 3 or 4 value adds. One is credit risk mitigation, that's a bigger one. The second one is local availability. And the third one is local relationships. So when these were considered, when the channel was probably with 4 tiers or 5 tiers, now when it comes to brand/ND to retailer to consumer, what has really happened is credit risk is more or less taken care. How it has been taken care is, one, the CIBIL is in place. So if I want to offer, say, any exposure, if I want to take any exposure, then I end up looking at CIBIL, and obviously nobody, and if it goes through any financial institution, so if I choose to have a financial partner and then do it, nobody can think of jeopardizing their name in the market. The second one is the corporate affairs tribunal that's been in place, the NCLT. So because of CIBIL and NCLT, credit risk is mitigated, and hence the need for different distributor is removed. The second one is local storage and local delivery. When you are a big brand, you obviously can have multiple locations where you can store products. Even if it is not stored, nowadays, if you have 4 different warehouses across, probably, or 5 different warehouses across India, east, west, north, south, northeast, you will be in a position to relatively deliver in about 2 days. So a need for a distributor is again taken out because of this GST implementation and the credit risk. The third one, and the most important one here in your this thing, it's fourth one, it's the local relationship. I seriously doubt if these distribution channels are removed, will there be local relationships existing? So that's a question mark I still have to answer myself in the channels that we operate. So that's what has happened. However, important thing is, across all these areas, across all these, there are a lot of work areas. So some things like we discuss credit risk, faster deliveries. So these are to happen. And now what happens is, when you are doing more retailers, when there is more from national distributor directly to retailers, when we do 2000 retail channels, retail outlets catering, there are more dispatches. Every day our warehouses operate on clockworks mode. So we got to have smaller dispatches, more risk, what goes into which box requires maker checkers, smaller returns, smaller boxes owing to bigger risks and damages. Some of our contracts are minimum 7 kgs or 20 kgs. And then there will be some retailers who would want 5 kgs, and then we end up paying for 20 kgs. More accounting entries. Earlier it used to be 50 entries, now it is 500 entries. And need for institutional customer service. Earlier my customers used to be 50. My customers, when I say these are distributors, now it's like 500 or 2000. And more escalations because the relations don't exist. Everything is on, say, it's transaction based, and hence there are more escalations. And when you don't have local relationships, then we end up taking those escalation ones at a real escalated level. So these are the issues that we face. Now what's happening is, with all these smaller things getting, say, like when I say smaller number of entries or smaller number of issues, lesser number of issues, now we are forced to have more number of issues. So what is also happening is, distribution channels are being driven to move away from individual functioning to institutional functionings. So earlier, good old days, it used to be distributed as an individual. Now, as an individual, you can't handle 2000. So it has to be kind of institutionalization of each of these activities. So that's something that I want to drive down, that we are forced to learn. We are forced to automate. Our way of calling automation might be even a small, say, Excel upload, or a small macro writing in an Excel, or access to kind of ensure that those entries are plugged into our transaction system, the ERP system. So on the left, you see an arrow coming from top to down. So what that essentially means is, earlier when there were too many players in the channel, if a new product comes, I just have to reach out to one of the regional distributor. I choose to be only in the South India, or I choose to be only in the western part of India. So I go to a regional distributor and then say, okay, so-and-so product, I'll support you with whatever customer service issues, marketing, etc. So why don't you push this through your LD and retailer channels? It used to be relatively easier. So hence more number of products, new products, etc. used to kind of get into the availability for end consumers. Now what's happening is, because the channel doesn't have too many players, it ends up going from directly brand to a retailer. So hence what is happening is, this channel is more and more turning to be very monopolized, and this is only now available for well-defined and established products. If you are an owner for a smaller brand, you get very difficult to even enter into some large players like Chroma, Reliance. See, obviously, if you are a Chroma or Reliance, you wouldn't want to operate with, say, 50 different power banks brands. So you'll probably choose 3 different spaces. You say that, okay, this is premium, this is mid segment, this is low segment. And then you end up choosing probably 2 for premium, 2 for mid, 2 for low. Now, what happens for the 44 other power bank brands when the channel is killed? Okay, this is a probably this transition is happening. Probably one of the reasons why many of the mobile phone brands died in the last 2-3 years. Probably that's what is going to happen for many of the accessories brands in India. And this is happening across the board. There were so many consumer durables brands, refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. you might have heard. And a lot of them will have these difficulties. And another thing is, in the US at least, as per the last week's report, there are 9,000 retail outlets closed. And you're expecting another 25,000 retail outlets closed. This is in the US. In India, what happened before COVID, the 12 months before COVID, about 50,000 retail outlets, consumer mobile phone only retail outlets were closed across India. There's a lot of shift happening. There's a shift happening because of customer service. There's a shift happening because of affordability schemes. Shift happening because we are all measuring. So maybe 10 years back, we were fine to pick a phone in any small outlet, but now you want to move to something very premium looking, etc. So what's happening for these small brands then? So brands who are not able to find channels are now moving to e-commerce platforms. When you say e-commerce platforms in India, you have Flipkart and Amazon. So another important thing is, don't think Flipkart and Amazon charge any less. They charge up to 25% on your sale. So if you're buying a product for, let's say, 10,000 rupees, Amazon's Flipkart might end up taking 2,500 rupees from that particular seller. Maybe they get only 7,500 rupees, and 2,500 goes to Amazon Flipkart. That's as expensive as it is the regular channel, and the regular channel margins are about 20-25%. So brands find this as a space when the whole channel is not available for them. Now, coming to another side of my coin, which is the used business. So I'll probably explain explain this is all whatever we went through today till now is for my new business where I buy something, I sell something, less value add. So you can be fairly assured that we are threatened because of the dynamics in the market. So we have to upgrade ourselves. So my one business is like that. And the second business, again, challenging and interesting business, is we have to buy used phones and we have to sell used phones. So here, unfortunately, fortunately, if I can buy more phones, okay, the person or the company that buys more at better prices are those who can survive. So we have survived for 5 years. So just to give a quick gist, we buy from Flipkart, Amazon, we buy from Amazon Marketplace. So wherein Amazon doesn't take decisions, we take decisions. And then we also have our own channel. So we have our channel of about 1200 stores where any customer walking into that retail outlet, and if that customer exchanges their old phone, it invariably comes to us. There are 3 different product types. When I say used, if you find any Chroma store, then there'll be some demos. Those are open box or demo devices, so we deal in those. We also deal in assured buyback products. So you buy a phone today and then you say in 6 months, I will sell this off, and then you sell it off, for which you get a better price. So those devices are called assured buyback devices. And finally, generally after 6 months or 1 year, you believe that you want to change your phone and then you change. That's called general exchange. So 3 different product types and 3 different major channels or sources to buy. And what we do, we don't do too much of refurbishment. And at least mobile phones are not as much refurbished by anybody. Many people might be claiming, but then spare parts availability isn't there. So hence, we sell it to wholesalers. We sell it to retailers, small retailers. We sell it on platforms as Amazon, Too Good, Udaan, etc. And then there are certain walk-ins. So these are 4 channels that we have at the moment. And I want to highlight this transaction system, margin GST compatible. The complexity of my business is till about GST coming in place, we were deciding what to do. But once GST got implemented in India, our lives literally changed. So we were first to set systems capable of doing this transaction. So in fact, used business, our business is, if we can't prove to the authorities that we are at least doing the transactions properly, we'll not be in this business. So hence we had to change a lot in our systems, and none of the systems were available for us because of a concept called margin GST. So that's the reason why I've just indicated it here. So what happens? The next small piece, you will find AZ, Amazon, Flipkart, and then margin and end consumer. So what happens is our business, we buy from Flipkart, Amazon, they being the primary sources for us for the devices. And then we sell to end customers. Our end customers are wholesalers, retailers, platforms, etc. So what happens is we are talking to platforms who are like behemoths. So they determine a price. These are the guys who fundamentally monopolize the whole thing. They have their captive customer base, and Amazon, Flipkart have capability to spend forever without earning. Okay, so and then they're having direct tie-ups with the brands. So what happens is, if at all you as an individual customer comes and wants to transact on Amazon platform, you would be excited to buy if there is a better price given for your old phone. So what happens is, they have the intensity to increase the price of the old phone to make it very good and exciting for the customer, and they sell a new phone, right? But they never underwrite the risk of that old phone because that ends up coming to us. Now the second one is end customer. So if you were to buy a used device, you might probably want to spend about 50%, 40%, 60%. So what happens is, we are squeezed in between. So we really are, we have to work as per what is sold and it is sold at higher price, and my end customer wants to buy at low price. So hence our margins are really pressed. So 2 years back, we got to know that it's getting too unbreathable for us. Every now and then we get in a situation where the guy who wants to buy at a price below our purchase price, right? So we can't sell at below our purchase price. So hence it was imperative at that time that we need to create our own channel and own pricing. So there was a necessity back then. So what happened was, the last section when you will see end customers still forcing it, but I open up my buy side price. So I purchase it at my will, at my price, and I want to change the way I see the market going. So immediately tomorrow a new Apple gets launched, I have all controls with me. But if I have to purchase from Amazon, Flipkart, I need to justify. And there's a process. It's so dynamic that prices change every now and then. So hence what we went on is, this is where we started creating our applications. And that's some about 2 or 3 applications we've built. And this is probably very unique, one of its kind in India. Nobody else has it. And we have deployed this across 1,000 to 1,200 retail outlets. So end customer of my products always says that a new phone purchaser can purchase in EMIs. He can have 12 months EMI. He will get a warranty, he'll get an assurance, and all other benefits related to this thing. But however, even if I buy an Apple 11 Pro, for example, I have to sell to a customer who is ready to buy, say, at 60,000 rupees and cash down. So there won't be any offers on used devices, because it's not a very structured market. So I have difficulty selling this. However, to ensure to doing this business and to unleash our margin, we've created that application, and that's where I'll talk a little bit on the next slide. And this will be my last slide, the next slide. Somebody can help me move. Okay. So what we have created is, the source was always, we were buying lots, we were buying in bits and pieces. So we have kind of put all our brains into that small application. We call it a platform, where we have deployed this across multiple stores. So you will see if that gray color one is our technology or our application. We operate with multiple chains of outlets. So you can say the red one is one chain, probably that has about 300 stores for us. The second one, blue chain, that has about 60 odd stores. The third one is another chain that that operates another 500 stores. So we have different stores. This is where I learned it hard way. I as a management consultant, I never had to get to the technical details. So back then there used to be a saying that in banks, there are no more accountants or bankers. All the bankers are now sitting inside Infosys and probably Oracle. So way back when I went to a bank, somebody used to calculate interest. Now, it's so tedious. You got to calculate interest from the amount that is retained from 10th to 20th or 10th to 30th of that month. So imagine somebody creating a ledger and then working through those numbers and finally arriving at your interest. So that's how it used to happen when probably I was in school. Now, all those guys who used to do real calculations are no longer sitting in banks as bankers or cashiers. They're all with companies like you guys. So it's all tech enabled. So what happened is, whatever was in their mind, it was productized as an Infosys technology or some other technology. So now what happened was, when we were building this, the complexity is, each chain might want to have their own subvention programs. So say Chroma says that I want to give 10% more. You give whatever price you want to give, I'll give 10% more. Or Chroma says, okay, I got a tie-up with Samsung, and Samsung wants to give another 500 rupees for every device that is exchanged, or for specific models. So the complexities were pretty intense, and each of the stores, some of them spread across north, south, east, west, or some zones which are high risk where more fraud happens. So the initially envisaged pricing structure, one pricing fits all 1300 stores, had to be completely redone. And today we have our product capable, our pricing algos capable in such a way that we can offer specific prices even to a specific store. So now coming to pricing, again, we don't do rocket science, but my complexities are, if you bring an old phone to me and ask me to buy, okay, I need to buy it based on its physical appearance. It can be spotless, good, fair, broken, etc. Probably you might give genuine accessories or not. And the third one is you're coming with box or not. So that's how it appeals for me to sell to another consumer. So these are the attributes that go into my prices. So when I work with a retail chain, I have to provide them a full solution. I can't obviously say some of those are very, say some phones I don't like it. Some of them I would want to take it, etc. So I have to offer them a solution where all the 1500 odd models are kind of priced for them. Okay. The second one is all the above 8 parameters have to be taken. So which means my pricing is 12,000 as on that particular time, as on one time. And you know what happens is these prices have to change dynamically every day or every time something happens. So I am dealing with 12,000, maybe the 10 is extra there. So probably 12,000 odd, say combinations, and a new phone launches, everything changes. So this was very complicated for us, and we continue to have that complexity. So now what happens is we have the issue much beyond this, just these 1200 combinations. Just a second, I'm toggling between this. Yeah. So what happens is I need to offer a price that is competitive, where I am better than, so the retailer need not choose me. They can choose somebody else because they offer better price. So hence I am out. So I need to be competitive in my price. And second one is my price cannot go so low that the customer is not giving back his old phone. So only when he gives back his old phone, I can make business. So these are the two very peculiar attributes. Now what goes into my pricing algorithm? So my buy side pricing algorithm, when you go to any store and then say that your iPhone 8 is costing 25,000 rupees. So the number of variables that we take into consideration as on probably last month is about 40 odd parameters. So now what we do is we define 40 parameters for each of these 1500 models, and we create those 12,000 variations. So these 12,000 variations come with these 40 parameters. For each of these 40 parameters, we need to have data, and that data should be at least 5 years because I'm buying a used phone. The complexity gets very, very high for us. So some of those parameters that impact pricing, just for the sake of understanding the business. So some brand operates at 7% margin. Like Apple operates just about 7% margin across the channel. Apple doesn't care who makes money or not. Let's say Vivo operates at 30% margin. So the channel shares 30% margin. Now what happens when the product comes to end of life, or say it goes to about 7 months down the launch date? There is naturally the product becomes end of life, and then if I am holding that inventory, I am ready to sell it off at the price at which I got it. So which means the distributors or the national distributors are ready to sell it at 30 less because they are getting it at 70, they're selling to end customer at 100. Now the national distributor is just interested in selling at lesser price. Hence, this factor comes into play. Similarly, product success. Product is more successful, it carries more price. Durability of the product and longevity of the product. So these are not same. Some products are extremely durable, and some brands, etc., carry a value even if you hold it. So similarly, there are different other issues, including for us, if a product turns out to be a bad device, if it is a broken piece, we need to get it done, repaired. So hence, we need availability of spares. For some of the products, spares are not at all available. So, or some of the brands don't believe in giving spares outside. So hence, we are gone. Similarly, if some of the brands will have full screen, some of them will not have full screen, or various other utility attributes. Next, launch time, price drop propensity, 40 different parameters we take. And trust me, after doing all this, this turns out to be a theoretical exercise, because it gets very difficult for us to get all the parameters for historical information for 1500 models. So that is the amount of complexity with which we buy phones. Now, when we are buying, obviously, if you are one of those customers just going and giving away that used device, I need to convince you. Or as an individual, if I need to convince you, I need to be like at least a graduate. But the problem is, in each of the mobile phone stores or chromas, etc., the promoters who sell your device, sell a device to you, draw about 15 to 25,000 rupees. So which means if a customer, intelligent customer like us, walks in and then says, why are you giving me a phone? Why are you giving this less price to my phone? Then that guy has to quickly give the price trend, saying, sir, you purchased at 50,000, but the last sold price was 25,000. At the last sold 25,000, there were these cashbacks and that warranty. But your phone, when I pick it, I need to sell it without any kind of warranties, etc., etc. So there is some content that is communicated by the store promoter, the guy who's selling it to the end consumer. So our responsibility was to make this technology have that information, so that at the click of a button, that guy, that poor sales guy, says to the customer that, sir, the price that is offered is this because of these parameters. So this one, to convince customer, we have created it very recently, very promising and very interesting. But again, we have problems with having price history from various, say, Flipkarts, Amazons, etc. So it's so intense. It's very interesting if somebody has to work in our pricing space. And then finally, after doing all this, what we get is we get a product. And what happens if the store boy has done a mistake of classifying it into good instead of fair? So we kind of lose about 10% there. And add it with his willful intent to kind of classify it this way. And then we can also carry the risk of theft, fraud, etc. So a lot of it. That's the reason why I say it's so complicated for us. It's as complicated for anybody. We are trying to solve some or more of these by including technology, by having productization and putting all our knowledge, pushing into that box, and then ensuring that things come out of it. So finally, now we are moving towards, or our thoughts are moving towards, sell before you buy. So can I sell a device before I buy a device? I will be carrying minimal risk. And finally, I might have to forego certain margins, but then this is where we are moving towards. So if that has to happen, then end of it is only going to happen because of the technology. So for a scrap vendor, somebody who is buying old and selling old, like this is the extent of automation, technology, etc. So unless this is available, the sustenance or the survivability is very, very, very difficult for us in the old business. So I have kind of taken you through the differences between both the businesses. The first business, how we are heading towards a situation where the channels and the number of players in the channels are reducing. the second business, gist of what it is, and finally, what we are doing as far as technology is concerned. But for the first business, I just want to end it, not getting too much into theoretical model. For the first business, for all brands and for all the national distributors, large distributors like us, we are moving towards omni-channel. Omni-channel is a very concept in itself. There are a lot of marketing, customer service elements, etc. into omni-channel. But then some of those specifically we face is price parity across channels. So if I sell a product on Amazon, if I sell a product on Chroma as Chroma's retail outlet, can I have same price parity? Can I control if some of them mess up with the pricing? And can make service be consistent across? Because now what happens is I fix the price. We have to control the guys because they are interested in selling off it lesser. Many a time what Flipkart sells is not something that we have agreed. They kind of put money from their own pocket. And can I deliver the same level of service to Amazon customer and Flipkart and Chroma customer? So, and omni-channel reach by any end customer through various modes of touch points. So I just want to end in a note that our business are very, very, very normal businesses, not high-fi. But the extent of change it is taking through, it has gone through, or what is going to come forward in future. We have to depend a lot on automation, technology. Probably if we don't do, somebody else is up there or probably doing something else and trying to take over us. So this is all that I wanted to share in this kind of short session. I think I will, I'm just ending on time. So thank you so much. And beyond this, what am I supposed to do? Let us know.
Thank you, Ramana. Seriously, it was a very insightful and interesting session for not just me, but I'm pretty sure for all of us who are here on the call. Because we see that most of the sessions, the way we usually see it is, we pick up on a topic, we try to do a deep dive on that, what that particular concept is. But if you look at today's session, you have wonderfully tied up two things: business, technology, and the way you're leveraging technology to run your existing businesses. And also the way you've done that comparative analysis of all the three businesses you're part of by considering the top parameters and the kind of value add you're bringing in, and how innovation is the need of the hour for any kind of business that you do today. And also topic, I mean, if you look at omni-channel, I mean, very vague, it's like more lot of channels. But you brought in a different perspective altogether by talking about omni-channel today and why it's important. At the same time, forward logistics, reverse logistics, forward distribution, how all these things actually are important in your business, and the way you've been conducting businesses, leveraging all these different distribution, and the way you come up with the pricing while you buy something old or will you sell something old. And all of these things are really very important for all of us who are on the meeting today, because this is something which will help us connect to the big picture. Like we know, I'm pretty sure a couple of us might be working on our own set of projects where we might be building some rating logic for one of the organization. But obviously, if you look at, right, if you consider this session, when you go back, then all those parameters will make sense. Like, okay, these are the 10 parameters that we used to consider. Now I know why am I considering these 10 parameters to come up with the pricing, and what kind of impact these rating parameters are making on my particular product for me to be able to sell it. And obviously something has to be reasonable when you put it across to a consumer, or they always have a choice to just walk out. So these kind of things are certainly very insightful and have definitely helped us have a lot of takeaway. So really, thank you. Thanks for your time. I'm pretty sure a couple of us have questions. So I'll certainly start with this. And Anil is the person, he had to jump into some other call. So I'll begin with that. He had a question for you where he said, the additional cost in online sales is in distribution loss due to breakage and returns of the product that is passed on to the seller by these online platforms. So what are your thoughts on this? Because he feels that who had to give up due to the higher returns, So what kind of impact would it have was his question, because when you touched upon these online e-commerce platforms and all, so his question was more around the revenue aspect, like how does it actually work?
I'll tell you, it's very tricky. Many people think it's easy to sell online, but online sales is a completely different capability altogether. Not just a so when you're selling as a business, when I'm selling as a seller online, so for people in India, so we sell Soundcore, we sell Anchor. Anchor, we sell it on Amazon by ourselves as Flash. So when you're buying something, you might buy it from Flash. So similarly, Nebula projectors you will buy on Amazon from Flash as a seller. But Soundcore we sell in Flipkart only, and through Flipkart's own companies. So we don't sell as a seller online there because there's a significant risk. Just for one of the best-selling accessories brands in India has a return rate of around 35%. Me as a brand or a seller, I sell 100 products on online, and imagine 35 coming back. And these come back as open units, some of them perfectly working. But where do I sell this? I can't package it and then sell it to another customer as a new product. So because the packaging is gone, the serial number is gone, etc. What happens is there is a product maturity, there is market maturity. So way back, there used to be a situation 5 years back, 4 years back, when Amazon came into play. Soaps used to come back instead of phones. Bricks used to come back. But now consumers also have educated themselves. So that number of soaps coming back. Now if a soap comes back, the consumer will get a criminal case on himself. Okay, so on products that are matured, it is lesser, but it is very risky. You have a liability for a longer duration. You have your money stuck with the platforms. So it's not easy. It's, I would say, very, very technical game selling online. And particularly selling Flipkart, I wouldn't consider Flipkart as a platform really big navigating. But then Amazon is a world in itself. It's so intense tech. Yeah, it's very risky.
Sure. Thanks for answering that, Ramana. There is another question from Nipun. He says, hi, can you please explain about your seller side channel, which is the used for? How is it organized? And sorry if it was covered earlier.
Rakesh, we can enable Nipun's audio so that they can have a conversation.
Yes, we could also do that. So
okay. See, very interesting question. Many of them ask us. So we have been failure in selling our used devices to end consumers, frankly. Because what happens is, if we have to reach out directly to end consumer, we either need to have physical store or an online store. So when we had physical store, the store couldn't do as much, and we are completely funded by ourselves, so we don't have any institution funding backing us. So we can't lose our money, we can't burn our money, right? So that was one issue in which, because of which we couldn't have our offline channel. Online, when I did sell on our website or in Amazon or Flipkart, not Flipkart, on Too Good or any of those where I'm directly selling to end consumer, so 40% used to come back. Now what happens, majority of these coming back, all platforms are interested in delivering product to customer within 2 days, 3 days, 1 day. None of these guys are interested in delivering the same product to me within 5 days if the customer rejects. Now what I get this product after 1 month. So I'm talking about working on a used product where the price goes down very, very frequently. And if I get back this product after a month for a depreciating asset, the business is just not viable. So that's the reason why we didn't know how to address this issue. And hence we don't sell to end customers. Unless they are like our close friends or they're based out of Hyderabad, they just walk in, pick something and then go. We only sell to the wholesalers. So majority of the wholesalers pick from us. We couldn't crack it. We are not capable enough of selling to end consumer. And we don't offer warranties, right? So that's another thing. We can't fool a customer.
Nipun, does that answer your question, or do you have anything follow up to that? Nipun, you are.
Nipun, your audio is enabled. You can speak.
Hello. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And there is another question from Ravi. Would you like to go ahead, Ravi?
Yeah, hi. Hey, Ramana, that was very, very insightful. Uh, I don't know how many project and product leaders realize the value of knowing the real business, but it's really, really insightful and helpful. Thank you for that. The question I have for you is that uh, you are in the icon part of it where you buy and sell used devices or commodities. So do you also have a possibility of having analytics which says that what is it that actually moves in the market? I'm sure there are certain models and certain types of devices or certain consumer goods that will move more, and rest of are all scrap probably for you. So do you intend to use such analytics to channel your energies and investments in that, or are you compelled by law or something, or your partnerships with these firms, that you have to take everything?
No. So I'll tell you this. Nobody says okay. Yeah. When I buy stock from Flipkart, so what happens is Flipkart does lots and then sells to us. So I don't have a choice to remove some models that I don't want to sell, or something that is not selling. Similarly, when I go to a store, now imagine you're owner for Sangeeta, which owns 600 stores across India. So it is my interest to reach out to you and then say, sir, I want to be your preferred partner. So you're giving me an opportunity. When you're giving me an opportunity, you will say that, okay, give me a solution where everything that my consumer brings, at least in mobile phones, you will have to pick it and you got to give a price. What happens? I have to end up giving price for every device. Now what happens is, after 1 month, once we start, they'll come back saying, okay, this competitor is giving 500 rupees more. Why are you giving less? So you end up, I have to increase the price. Or, so where that price comes from is either from my profitability, or I'll have to fund it myself. So I do not have too much of a choice here. Now coming to analytics, what sells well, what doesn't sell well, it's very easy for us. What sold very well 1 year back as a new phone, that sells well 1 year later, which is today, as a used phone. But the catch is, pricing is the most important thing. If I can source something at lesser price, and if I sell it at lesser price, because my channel is wholesale channel, my channel is not, say, end consumer channel. So price drives everything. So we tried some small analytics application 2 years back. So I thought we'll be in a position to gather some information, put some things into perspective and all. But then I was saying, you drop 300 rupees on a Redmi Note 5, it sells like hotcakes. So all my analytics goes for a toss. Yeah, we have not been as successful in those fronts.
Good one. Thanks, Ramana. Do we have any other questions for Ramana? All right. If there aren't any other questions, thank you, Ramana. Thank you so much for being so patient, driving us through the session and answering all our questions. And I would like to take a minute to thank Ramana and all the organizing committee, and also ThoughtWorks, who've been our sponsor for the night.
Akanksh, just sorry to interrupt you. I think Nipun has another question.
Yes, please.
Just quickly, have him. Yeah, Nipun, you can go ahead now.
Over to you, Nipun.
Yeah, hi, just one more question. So I'm just trying to understand, you have, there, you said like about 40% of products that comes up might get kind of like, they are very delayed, or they can get, if they are of theft, or they are damaged, or they cannot be sold out. So is it, is my understanding correct that even after like 40% of products that are coming to you are like almost you cannot sell it back to the customers, like it's like a throw inventory, right? Like it's a, I don't know what's the term for it, but
No.
even after that, does that margin covers up? Is it just because of the sheer number of sheer volume that you're dealing with, that even though the margins are less, I don't see to be too big, less, that these 40% also gets like covered up in that and the business is viable? Just wondering. And
No.
does it, because is it
What happens
mobile?
is,
Yeah, sure. Sure, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was asking, is it because it's only because it's a mobile phone area where this model can work, or because I see that mobile phones has the highest volume probably in the e-commerce, and there cannot be any another segment where this could work. It could be viable because it's not that much volume.
So let me answer it this way. About 35-40% that come back, not everything is unsellable. Maybe just about 5% is, less than 5% is unsellable. But then what happens is, I get it significantly delayed period. So if I can't hold a used phone price for more than 10 days, frankly. Some or the other phone launches something, somebody else will be selling it at lesser price. And one of the reasons why it comes back is because if you buy a used phone, immediately after you place order, if you talk to two different friends, somebody will say, "Arey, something else is at cheaper price," or "Why do you want to go for this one? You go for a new phone. It is available at a lesser EMI and all that." What comes back? Some of them come back in pristine condition because the customer has not even accepted the product. In some cases, customer opens it, finds it not correct as per his expectation, and then sends it back. He says he exercises right to send back in 10 days. Some of those places where when it is coming back, the delivery boy might open, tamper it, make something. There are some cases, quite a number of cases we face, where people buy my phone, a used phone, for a component. They remove that component and they send back the device. They kind of trouble me that way also. So recently we decided not to sell anything in a particular area. So many of these, say, small mobile phone retail shops that also do repairs, they do this, and we definitely have some problem. So I'll get to know that only after 30 days. Imagine Samsung device getting display is very difficult. I can't get a Samsung device display. And if I apply a fake one, it'll be very easily found out by anybody. So I send an S10, and imagine somebody removes S10's top glass display, applies a fake one, and sends it back to me. What will I do? So hence, these risks, I thought, are much beyond the margins or the profitabilities.
Yeah, so my question and extension was that, is it because that the number of products that probably you buy and sell, is it that enables the viability of this business? And probably also there's a risk also more in mobile phone, but just because of the numbers, it makes it more doable.
See, something that we have built, there are two things. One is we see quite a number of players going off, some of the people not being able to do. So while I sounded negative, it's not as negative as it is. Even if I sounded negative, definitely there is scope for this. Has to be catered by somebody. So why not be better in that space? And we we do things better. So that's all that I would say.
Does that answer your question, Nipun?
Yeah, it's a good answer. Thank you.
Ramana, there is another question from Ritvik. Ritvik, would you like to go ahead?
Yes. Is my voice audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Ramana. Thanks for the session. I mean, it was very insightful. So, I mean, I had one question just in connection with what you were ending in your answer to the previous question. So, I mean, what is that is, keeping you moving ahead? When you look at the kind of challenges, especially, I mean, from what I was understanding from the operations perspective, the pricing, the dealing with the channels and all these things. I mean, is it the big picture of the total market which is there in India, especially when you look at the population, or what is it that in specific, and what do you see as the roadmap ahead for you?
Okay, so I'll give a quick info on for both of my companies. So the first one, mobile phones, channel is shrinking. So there's less space. So hence only the best stays there, number one. So got to be better. We got to be faster. And the second one is, okay, so what happens if mobile phones doesn't have a distribution network? It doesn't end there, right? I might probably get into drones, right? So suppose when drones are well deployed in farm sector, all I've created is roads to every town, village, etc. Distribution is ensuring that my product moves there in shortest time possible. So maybe some other product I will add. I keep on adding products, right? As a distribution network, I'm not aligned with one brand. So I might have some exclusivity clauses with some brands, but then I continuously work on even the brands. So suppose my channel can take some other category also, I'm ready to add a category, right? So to that extent, if we can forecast things now, say when I'm doing MI, Xiaomi phones, what if there is increased intensity in the border? What if the sentiment continues? Right? But then I've created a network. So is there some other product that I can push into? So is there some other category itself that I can push into? That is something that continuously we have kind of created something. So hence we'll try to generate more value out of it. That's number one. In the used space, see whether a Xiaomi goes in the market, out of market, whether an Apple survives or dies. One thing I'm sure for the next 5 years at least, that every one of us will continue to use phones. Thanks to COVID, our whole phones consumption has been accelerated by at least 8 to 10 years. Earlier, people used to say that you should not use a phone till you come to, say, your graduation or whatever. Now, a standard kid is given a phone and asked to use it for his learning. Now, what happens? He will continue to use a bad phone probably initially. Then he will upgrade to something utility. Then he would only want a better phone. So the whole cycle of usage has increased, or the intensity has increased by, say, some 8 to 10 years. And that is because of COVID. Irrespective of which phone exists, which brand exists, phone exists. That phone will be replaced. So I am only going to take back that phone, whichever phone it is. So there is space for me in the reverse. Now, if I can do things a little better, make a little more margin, have my costs a little lesser, don't burn my money, I continue to exist.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for the answer. I was also actually thinking, from what you mentioned, the pain points that you are trying to solve are actually, very, very strong. And the operation challenges and all, as you're able to crack it off, I think it looks like a very, very good potential attractive segment.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Ritik. Ramana, I really like the way you tied the COVID situation and converted it to into an opportunity. So, like the way
That's very intense, very good opportunity for all the electronics, particularly this one, mobile phones. Yeah.
So hoping there are no more questions, we can close the session here. So request all the participants to fill the feedback form. You'll receive it in your browser on Zoom. So please fill it. And Ramana, thank you once again for spending time with us and enlightening us with a lot of information and giving us insights into your business and into your vision. It really helps. So thanks all for joining. Thanks to the BizKnight core committee and also ThoughtWorks for helping us conduct the session. Thanks all. So keep looking for the next edition of BizKnight.
Thank you, Ramana. Bye.
Thanks, Ramana.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye. Have a nice evening.